Hi, everyone. Thanks for your patience. Sorry for the slight delay. Someone's camera just doesn't want to join. This isn't in the mood. So we're joined here with Aline and Hadiya, who are from NaTakallam. Aline is the co-founder and CEO of NaTakallam. Originally Lebanese, Aline was born and raised in New York and is a graduate of the Lycée Français, Tufts University, and Columbia University. After working as a journalist in Beirut, she pitched NaTakallam at a World Bank competition in 2015. Joining Aline is Hadiya, who is originally from Syria. Due to the conflict in her home country, she fled to Iraq, where she lives with her husband and two children. She previously worked as a social worker and studied English literature at Damascus University. So these two lovely ladies will have a discussion about how technology, and NaTakallam in particular, has given Hadiya and many others the platform to tutor her native language. Okay, I'll leave it to you.
All right, everyone. Sorry again, I wish I could be physically on camera, but I think Hadiya's presence will be enough. And so I'd just like to present NaTakallam with an overview, and then we'll hear from Hadiya, and then we welcome your questions and answer within the time we have left. So what is interesting, I think, within this conference is that NaTakallam is coming from a very different angle, which is humanitarian first through the means of language learning. So first, I just would like to speak about the backdrop along which NaTakallam was founded in 2015. Actually, today we have over 80 million people who have been forcibly displaced from their homes, mostly due to conflict. In 2015, that number was about 15 million less. So we are just continuing to see things worsen, and it will be the case due to COVID and continuous conflict around the globe. We always hear about this refugee crisis. We see visuals and images, but we don't really fully grasp what is going on. And we don't really realize, for example, that only 1% of those who are forcibly displaced will actually be formally resettled as refugees in a new country, who are granted the right to live and the right to work and eventually become a citizen. So we find ourselves with millions of individuals who are stuck in limbo, in refugee camps, or on migrant routes like the Mediterranean route. And they are stuck with no access to income, and yet millions of them are highly educated, they're highly skilled, and they're also highly connected. So unlike the previous global refugee crisis of World War II, which was the largest before today's, we live in the era of the World Wide Web, and refugees use their smartphones, and if they have laptops, as a lifeline. And at the same time, as I don't need to maybe hone in on this, since many of you are already language enthusiasts, we know that there is a growing demand for online language learning services that has been accelerated by COVID. So NaTakallam was actually born at the intersection of three main concepts. The fact that we are dealing with millions of highly skilled, connected refugees around the world who need access to work, the fact that there's a growing demand for language services worldwide, and the booming digital economy. And it's a very simple idea, and it was born out of Lebanon, which is where I'm from originally, and where 1 out of 4 people is a refugee. And the concept is that someone like Kate, a PhD student in Baltimore who's studying the Middle East and wants to learn Arabic, for example, well, she can connect with Asala, who's a Syrian refugee in Lebanon who's unable to work locally. And on the one end, Kate gets affordable, flexible, impactful language practice that is providing this livelihood to Asala, who, while she can't get work in Lebanon, she can gain access to income through digital work, through language teaching, in this case, teaching Arabic. So NaTakallam has grown since its birth in 2015, where the focus was really on colloquial Arabic. And we now teach Arabic in 8 different dialects. We also, of course, teach formal modern standard Arabic. And we work with refugees from about 8 different Arab countries: Iraq, Syria, Palestine, Yemen, a number of others. We also added Persian taught by Afghan and Iranian refugees, Spanish by Venezuelan and Central American refugees, French by Francophone Africans, and Armenian and Kurdish, which is taught mostly by Syrian Armenians or Syrian Kurds. So we do individual and small groups. It's tailored to students. It does not follow a strict curriculum because it's very much focused on the human connection and the conversation, except for Arabic, where we have an integrated curriculum that blends both the spoken and the modern standard Arabic. In addition to our one-on-one and group language teaching, we sell our services to schools and universities. And again, talking about the human component here, one of our big goals is actually trying to raise awareness at a young age with children who might only be reading about refugees through the news, through our politicians. And we also bring our programs to universities, and this is more typically focused on language, where we are a complement and serve as kind of the language lab. So if you're studying Arabic, for example, at Yale, you have your curriculum with your professor, but then you complement it with conversational practice with NaTakallam's refugee tutors. Just a quick note, we also have added on translation services because this is, again, along the lines of refugees, languages, online opportunities. And this has enabled us to really increase our income to refugees. So our reach to date as a small social enterprise, refugees have earned over $1 million through their work with NaTakallam. We've worked with over 10,000 unique users who are based around the globe. We've also provided our services to more than 200 schools and universities and 80 translation clients worldwide. And the impact, is, of course, the monetary income. And it is worth noting that over 60% of the refugees we work with say that NaTakallam is their only source of income. Not only is there income as the immediate reward, but NaTakallam is also providing a social network. It's rekindling all this human web that refugees lose when they deal with conflict. They're forced to flee their homes. People go around the world. And so through NaTakallam, we've seen many refugees get other jobs, get formally resettled, for example, from Lebanon to Italy or Lebanon to Canada, make friendships and other forms of support networks. And also, interestingly, 40% of them use NaTakallam to fund their educational opportunities. So they might be learning coding, but they do NaTakallam on the side to have an income that sustains them. This is just a glimpse of some of our partners and clients. And this is a video of a partnership we did with an organization called TOCA, which is Teens of Colors Abroad, which is a program to bring teens of color to travel for study abroad, because many of them actually don't have this opportunity. And because of COVID, they couldn't travel. So they actually did NaTakallam. So it was a really beautiful partnership. So they signed up to learn Arabic through NaTakallam as a replacement for their study abroad. I will skip the video because I know we're behind on schedule. And I think the best is now to hear from Hadiya, who has been a NaTakallam tutor for over 3 years. And Hadiya is currently living in a refugee camp in Erbil, Iraq. She's a mother of 2 young children. And Hadiya, I'm going to stop sharing and tfaddali. I'll let you talk about your experience with NaTakallam.
Okay, thank you, Aline. So hi, everyone. I will start when I left Syria. So it was a horrible situation there, as you know. In 2013, I decided to leave Syria because of many reasons. One of them, the main reason, was my disease. So it was like horrible there to get to in a hospital. Because of that, we left our countries. And the conflict was going there. So we came here, and I moved to live in the camp and living in the tent. It was very disappointing for me and depressing for me. When I get to know NaTakallam, it was in 2017. I thought it was like a very interesting program. I started to apply for it to join this program. So when I started to talk to the students, to the people all around the world, I thought that my life changed totally. I was traveling every day by my thoughts all over the world, to New Zealand, US, England, everywhere. I talked to them about my life, my experience. I teach them Arabic language, also Kurdish language, because I know that these three languages. So it was a really unique program for me, because it really try to change, to teach Arabic with all its accents, Arabic, Persian, Kurdish, French, a lot of languages. So when I it came in a time that I really needed, because I was feel like depressed and isolated from my family, from my hometown. So I didn't feel that I am living in a different country, because I really forget all my difficulties, my obstacles when I was talking to the students. So we share like our feelings, our difficulties. Yeah, it was. I always say that it helped me financially and psychologically, because when I was talking to them, they just asking how do I feel. I start to talk about myself, and this make me relief and feel better about my life. Although I had this difficult life in the camp. Of course, I was working also with my husband. Also, is working with NaTakallam. So I always said that NaTakallam is a small window, is our small window to the outside of the world. So we are talking in the house. You don't need to get pay for transportation, to find difficulty to pay for your income. So this program helped me a lot. Because I couldn't find a job for a lot of time. So it helped me, and especially in the time of COVID-19, because everyone around me lost their job because of the lockdown. So I just NaTakallam was already virtual, so I go on with the program, and I didn't feel worry about the income and how I should pay for my family. So yeah, it was really helpful for me to know this program. It is like I always said that it changed my life, because it is not only teaching languages, it is also making friends. I met some friends who visit Iraqi Kurdistan here. I met with them. It was really happy moments for me. So yeah, so this is my experience with NaTakallam, and I am really happy working with them, and so proud. Till now, I worked with schools, with universities. I talked about my experience teaching them Arabic language. So this was the good point that happened to me when after I became a refugee. So yeah, I am thank you for NaTakallam, and thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Hello. Seems my camera is being a bit slow. There you go. I'm back. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Hadiya. And I'm so excited about this product, and Arabic has certainly been on my list of languages to learn. But yes, so many languages, so little time. But I think, do we have any questions in the chat? Please feel free to share. While we wait for some questions to come in, one of the questions I have for both of you really is, what kind of challenges have you faced while developing the product, or even while working with NaTakallam, like teaching or learning.
Hadiya, do you want to go, or would you like me to start?
Yeah, I think if you start first, it will be better.
Okay. Well, I think, there's challenges at so many levels. Just being a social enterprise is itself kind of challenging because, you have both the impact and the sustainability and growth of the company to balance out. And you're constantly on a tightrope of making decisions because, we're actually an impact first startup and social enterprise. So, we really do want to focus on our impact. And sometimes this comes at the cost of certain other things. And of course, if you're talking about companies, private sector, et cetera, there is a goal of growth and profitability, which is very different in our space. So for those who are familiar with the social enterprise space, it is this constant balance, especially if you're impact first, between both the impact and the sustainability that then potentially becomes profitability. From a more pragmatic perspective, of course, it is difficult to always have a solid internet connection. And some of our tutors have to deal with connectivity problems, with, of course, contexts that are not favorable to stability. Many of our tutors are in Lebanon. Lebanon is a crumbling economy today. We had the Beirut explosions last summer. The internet is not reliable. Of course, Hadiya in Erbil can talk about some of the on and off challenges of her electricity connections and her internet connection. So, when people sign up to NaTakallam, there is an understanding that they understand themselves the context in which they're going to be learning a language. And it's really, there is an expectation that they can be sensitive to these circumstances. But we also, our tutors are tutors, right? They have skills. We treat them like our other staff members as well. They teach us things, we learn from them. And I think that what's been the most touching is when students write to us and thank us because they have learned so much from a life perspective from their tutors. And they feel so humbled to be working with individuals who've really endured so much and are so strong and so inspiring and so pleasant. And you wouldn't imagine what they've been through. So Hadiya, I'll let you confirm some of the challenges I've mentioned.
Okay, so yes, the big problem was the electricity because every time we have lack of electricity. So we try to solve this problem and we bring like a battery for the internet to have it 24 hours. So yeah, we solved this problem, but sometimes it was cutting out. So this is normal here. And also for me, living in a tent or a small room, it was difficult. I found difficulty to talk because there is a noise and we have like the whole family inside this one room. So yeah, we tried to just keep my kids silent and yeah. My husband was helping me to take them out after I finished, as I was helping him. But after that, we had another room. This room, I built it especially for NaTakallam because we really need like a private and isolated and silent room. Yeah, this is very important in this program because these two things, yeah. But yeah, I think this is a problem that I had, and it is better now. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, it sounds like a true work from home problem that I hope everyone can relate with now, not just during the pandemic. We'll squeeze in one more question that just came in from a user of NaTakallam, and they said, how would you like to further your reach through future plans?
I'll jump in on that one. Thank you for that question. And thank you to all of our students who are in the chat and who are our fuel alongside our incredible tutors. So NaTakallam is planning to continue to expand with its languages. but also its growth. And so I think many of our students know we are actually not the most tech savvy, and we don't have a fully running automated platform. So, you know, there's a lot of funny things about us. We're like the non-tech startup, but considered a tech startup, a startup for good. So, but we don't have that background. So, you know, we're kind of behind on all the classics of the tech space, the startup space, the business space. And really what we're bringing in is that human side of it, the humanitarian side, the cultural side of things. All of our team is from diverse backgrounds. So when we're adding languages, we want to make sure we understand both the language, but also the conflict, the context in which we're operating. And these are all factors that contributed to making the environment appealing for our tutors as well to join and to feel safe, because we can understand the challenges they're dealing with. But our next steps at NaTakallam are really to build out our technology and to try and then push much further with our outreach and our marketing, and to continue to grow on all three fronts. So just the one-on-one language learning, the outreach to schools and universities. And if you know any schools that are interested in the Middle East, we have funding available for sessions that are focused on the Arab world. And then our translation services that have now been complemented by virtual interpretation as well. So yeah, I think hopefully that answers the question.
Well, thank you so much for sharing and for this inspirational talk as well. And I'm afraid we've run out of time. Otherwise, I'd like to chat a bit further. But I'd love for you to perhaps have a little look into this chat where all of the other viewers have been sharing some thoughts, and maybe drop your socials or talk with them and answer some questions, because we will move on to the next talk now. So thank you very much, ladies. It was lovely. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.